Hey guys, it's Bella, and welcome back to another book talk. Now, it is finally time to talk about one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I'm wearing a leather jacket, I'm wearing red and a gold necklace to kind of get the Bryce vibe up in here. But yes, Crescent City is, my god, I adore this book so much. And in honor of the second book in the series coming out in almost a week, like it's coming out really soon, I wanted to film a little book talk on Crescent City because I reread it recently and I took so many notes, guys. Like, when I tell you I took so many notes, I mean like pages upon pages of notes for this book, so I'm excited to get on into it. There is going to be a portion of this video that's non-spoiler, so if you guys haven't read Crescent City, please only stick around for that portion because it is like incredible and spoilers will definitely make the experience worse. Honestly, if you guys haven't read Crescent City, I would recommend not even reading the synopsis because synopsis does give something away that I think you should go in to blind. Like, I don't like that they put that in the synopsis. But basically, Crescent City is a sort of like urban fantasy. Like, I don't really know what to classify it as because it's basically like if you took all your favorite high fantasy elements like fae, witches, angels, like swords and magical artifacts and hidden libraries and all of those elements that you love in high fantasy, if you took them all and you put them into a modern setting, this, while it is a modern world and it obviously by the title Crescent City, it takes place in a city, it just has a completely different vibe than urban fantasy. Like, they have phones and stuff, but it is a completely different vibe. So it is a fantasy book, and it is about this half fae girl named Bryce, and she has to investigate these murders and just figure out a lot of like plots that are going on in Crescent City, the city she lives in, that have to do with some traumatic things that happened to her a couple of years ago. And she pairs up with this Angel Hunt, who is a slave to higher angels called the Archangels, and they have to solve crime together. I'm going to try and give a brief overview of like the world building and everything because this world building is very complicated. Like, as you can see with the map in it, like, there is a lot in this book, a lot. So basically there are 4 houses. They're all listed like at the beginning of the book, and Bryce is technically in the House of Sky and Breath because she's half fae, but her human side is in the House of Earth and Blood, which is actually what this book is called, House of Earth and Blood. I think everyone calls it Crescent City though, and I'm sure gonna call the rest of the series Crescent City 1, Crescent City 2, Crescent City 3, like, because these titles are way too long to remember and to say. So there are the different houses and they all coexist, and the Crescent City is like one of the capitals, but there's like many different places. And there is this rebellion going on, the human rebellion, because humans are basically like the lowest class. Like, there are angels, archangels, and Astri, I think they're called, which are like the most powerful, and humans are at the very bottom. They possess no magical power, and that's kind of how this whole world is ranked, based on magical power. So Bryce is viewed pretty low on the whole spectrum because she barely has any power, and she also is half human, So they definitely like look down on her because of it. And the reason why Hunt is a slave is because the lower angels had a rebellion many years ago, and all of the people who fought in that rebellion are now kept as slaves, including like sprites and other creatures. And that's kind of like the premise of the book, is that there's all these like underlying political tensions between the different classes. Like, this is a very, very classist society that basically just runs on power. So as you can imagine, there's like a lot of different tensions, and that is the main reason why all the events in this book go down. Before we jump into spoilers, I'll give like my non-spoilery reasons why I love this book. I love this book because of our main character, Bryce. Like, she is my everything. I love her so much. Like, she is just so, like, everything I want in a main character. She's flawed, but also, like, really, independent and strong, but also, like, loves, like, dresses and loves to dance, and has all these, like, conflicting interests, and she's very loyal to her friends, and she's just like such a badass, and I just love her so much. The character development with all the characters are outstanding. The plot is really good. It has so many plot twists, like so many. It's impossible to predict all of them. Like, you can get some of them because there is pretty good foreshadowing, but you cannot get all the plot twists in this book. Like, so many plot twists, and all the side characters are well developed and amazing. The world building, like the world building is incredible. If this is only the first book, I'm so excited to see like the rest of the world in the other books. If you're a fan of Sarah J Maas or fantasy at all, definitely check this book out. Please go check it out. Like, it's amazing. I can't say it enough. All right, now that all of the people who don't want spoilers have left, right? You've left? Good. It is time to talk about this in detail, and I'm so excited. Oh my god, I've been waiting to do a video like this for so long. So because my notes are like in chronological order, I'm probably gonna go in chronological order. Alright, the first notable thing in this book, we're just gonna address the elephant in the room, Danica's death. So Danica is Bryce's best friend, and I think the whole fandom, me included, absolutely adores her. Like, she is so fun, but also so fierce and protective, and also really like determined and responsible when she wants to be, and her and Bryce go together so well. Like, they're one of the best written friendships that I have ever seen. They genuinely just love each other like so much. I love Bryce and Danica. Danica's death is heartbreaking because we've spent about 60 pages developing Bryce and Danica's friendships. We've gotten some flashbacks. We've talked about just how supportive they are of each other. We've talked about how they're gonna make the drop. They planned out like a good portion of their lives that they're gonna live together, and Connor in the pack. Danica is basically a leader of like these pack of wolves. Like, Connor, oh my god, he is set up as such this great love interest. Like, we don't know too much about him, but we know how he interacts with his little brother. We know how he interacts with the pack, how like Danica trusts him and thinks that he would be good for Bryce. And like, since we know how much Danica loves Bryce, we know that like he genuinely would be a good match with Bryce. And even though Bryce is hesitant to give him a chance, she does want to give him a chance, and they never ever got to see what would come of that. Like, when Bryce comes home and just finds the whole pack, including Danica, in like piles, like literally inhuman piles with like just like blood and bone and stuff, like, even though, because the synopsis does say that her closest friends are gonna die, I think we all were thinking it wasn't gonna be Danica. Like, Danica seems like such an essential part of the plot. Like, why would we kill off Danica? Like, Danica is such like a main character. She has so much personality in life, and it's just all taken from her. And just such an abrupt, brutal way. Like, Bryce is literally high when she finds Danica, and so she's going through all of these like drug things. Like, she can't see that well. She's like trying to find her way around, and then she sees Danica's like dead body and runs outside, and sure enough there's a demon and he's ripping apart an angel, and then he attacks her, and it's just like she does this all while on drugs, and that's just got to be so traumatic. And Bryce spends the rest of the book missing Danica, trying to get over Danica, trying to heal from losing Danica, and we spend the rest of the book wishing Danica was here. Like, we want Danica to be here just as much as Bryce does, because like Sarah J Maas just spends such a good job building Danica up to be this person that just feels like such a real and genuine person, and it's just heartbreaking. Also, something that I picked up on this time was that "Light It Up" and "I love you" were her last words, Danica's last words to Bryce. Like, literally the most important words in the whole book, "Light It Up," were her last words to Bryce, and chills, man. I am so excited for the war that is going to be coming in this like upcoming series, because she has built up, like Sarah J Maas has built up the conflicts and political tensions in this book so well. The tensions with the humans and with the Fae, and literally the rebellion with among so many different animals. Like, Hunt and the lower angels rebel because clearly they're not being treated well. The humans are rebelling because they're not being treated well. The sprites are not being treated well. Like, the mer people, like, it's even talked about later in the book that their mer people, their ecosystems are getting completely destroyed because the archangels are using the rivers and stuff for the war, and it's like they obviously don't like that, so there's just so much political tensions. But then the other side, you have these like super powerful angels that could literally like eviscerate an entire like place. It really reflects a lot of like real world situations, and I love that about this book. It's so like grounded in reality despite how many fantasy elements are in it. And the representation in this book is like just made me so happy, because the other Sarah J Maas books definitely have lacked some representation. Like, she tried, and she's doing a lot better in her most recent books, especially this one, because like we have a main character who's a person of color now. We have Bryce, who is like talked about at the beginning of this book that her dance, like, she wouldn't get accepted into dance places because they thought she was like too like bulky and clumsy, like her hips were too big, and she like, I just love that we now have like a plus size main character who's like seen as beautiful, and not just like, that's not her only personality trait, that's just part of who she is. Some people look down on her because of it, but she's also seen as like really beautiful and is a beautiful person. We do have a little bit more of LGBT representation. I'm really hoping that the main LGBT couple that she set up in this book gets fleshed out in the next book, because I think they are such a cute dynamic. Like, Juniper, this cute little like fawn that loves to dance, and Fury, this like assassin, like this deadly assassin. Like, that is one of my favorite dynamics ever. So I'm so excited to see them fleshed out a little more, because Fury wasn't really around for most of this book, and Juniper wasn't around for a lot of it, so we didn't really get to see their dynamic very well. But I'm so excited for that. And then they're just like little things here and there, like casually mentioning like couples that aren't straight, and just like having it be part of the world. I really did love that, and I appreciate that she is making an effort to improve that, because when she started writing her book she was like 15, so I can definitely see how her maturing as a writer applies to her representation also getting better. So we've spent a lot of time talking about Bryce and like Danicas death and everything. Now I want to talk about Hunt, and just like his whole like messed up situation that he's in. I think that some of the worst punishments just in general are where like you have to go against your own moral code, and Hunt definitely has to do that, because Micah, who is the archangel that owns him, in order for him to pay off his debt, he has to do a life for a life. And since in the battle he led, like X amount of people were killed on the Archangel's side, Hunt has to kill a person for Micah for every single one of those. And Like, that's just absolutely shattering. It's the only way to fight for your freedom is to, like, kill people. And I just love how Hunt starts to see Bryce for who she is, because at the beginning, like, their dynamic is very like, oh, she's just like this dumb party girl who doesn't actually care about her friend. But in reality, she is a party girl, but that doesn't make her dumb or not caring about her friend. Like, she's very loyal and very strong. She likes to dance and like she likes to party, but that doesn't take away from her character at all. And there is actually this line where Bryce says, like, there's nothing wrong with party girls. I don't know why people think there are. And despite how much I love Hunt, Bryce definitely like goes on so many rants to him that he totally deserved about like sexist things, because like, yeah, Hunt isn't sexist, but just in that society in general, there are a lot of stereotypes that Bryce wants to break, and she just goes on so many rants to him about it, and I love it. Also, the whole foreshadowing thing, like, close your eyes, Danica, is brought up like so much, and I absolutely love that. Like, the foreshadowing in this book is really good because this is a reread. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier in the video. I might have not. I think I said I reread Crescent City. I don't remember, but this is a reread, so I did catch a lot more this time than I did previously. So I did really enjoy the romance. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much the first time, and I'm not really sure why. Like, I mean, like, I like Bryce and Hunt. I love their dynamic, and I think the romance was written really well. I don't know. There was something about it that I just didn't like quite as much as I remember liking it the first time. Doesn't mean I disliked it or anything, but now rereading it, I definitely see what people mean, because there is this one, like, demon that Bryce summons when trying to figure something out, and that demon, a lot of people ship with her, and I can see where people are coming from, because like the two interactions we've seen them have, they do have some chemistry there, and one of them is like, he literally shows up in cat form when she's like crying on the curb because her dad, her biological dad, like, sucks and kicked her out for having no powers. And the like, I think his name is like Idas, like, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, like Idas, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but he shows up in cat form and he like goes to comfort her, but like he says, like, don't let them see you cry, that's what they want. And he just like sits with her while she's like out on the curb, and like, that I can definitely see. I'm regardless, I want to see more of their dynamic, like a lot more of it, regardless of whether they actually end up together. I just wrote this line down in my notes. I love the line where she says, you look how I feel every day, because oh my god, like, that is from the shower scene, which is superior. Like, that scene is so basically Hunt is coming home from a kill that he was forced to do by Micah, and Bryce like intercepts him coming home because she was like really worried about him, and she's like, where have you been? And then she notices the blood and she puts it together, and Hunt's ritual after doing that is sitting in the shower, basically letting his skin burn off and reheal because of how hot he turns the shower to. And also, I mean, I understand that like showers can get pretty hot, but what kind of showers are there that can literally burn an angel's skin off? Because in the book it's described as like him, like his skin like blistering and like burning and then rehealing because of how hot the shower is, and it's like, that seems like a safety hazard. But yeah, that seems superior. She like helps him, like she cleans him off, she like puts him in clean clothes and like sits with him until he can fall asleep, and it's just like, it's probably one of my favorite scenes with them together. I love the whole like plot twist with the synth, because that was like the drug that is going around in the street, and Danica was involved with it somehow, and like they don't know how, and synth can basically make like humans as strong as Veneer, which are like the angels and all the creatures, and Veneer go crazy when injected, and they turn like super powerful, but then they eventually tear themselves apart. And I love all the plot twists with that because it was so strongly developed. Like, you could kind of see some stuff coming, like, oh, synth like shows people being torn apart. That's probably what happened to Danica and the pack rather than the demon. Like, you can put that together pretty easily, but you can't put together any of the other stuff because it's like you just need all these other pieces, and like you catch them rereading it, but it's still like it's impossible to put it all together before you get to it. And I love that the book can surprise you like that. There's this one scene which I think is like, it really hurts because like Hunt is caught trying to get synth for him and the angels. In reality, he's trying to stop the transaction after they realize how dangerous the drug is, but Bryce finds out that Hunt knew about how Danica died like a week before she put it together herself, and like that whole scene, like his betrayal and her like throwing the opal at him was, oh my god, heartbreaking. But I love how once Hunt gets captured and she finds out where he's going, she doesn't give up on him. Like, I love how, like, yeah, she has to take some time to be like, this really sucked. What he did to me really sucked. But I'm not gonna give up on him. He's my friend, and like, no matter what he's done, he doesn't deserve to go back to Sandriel, which was his old, like, person that he was enslaved to, and she is really screwed up on so many different levels. Like, she killed Sahar, who Hunt was in love with, and he was leading the Angel Revolution with him, and she's just like really screwed up. Like, she tortured him, and obviously that was like his worst nightmare going back there. We're getting up to the part where I'm absolutely gonna go off because this whole next section is my favorite. So after Hunt gets captured, when Bryce she's like, I'm gonna put myself into debt to Jessica, is that how you pronounce it? I haven't pronounced most of these names out loud, so I don't really know how they are pronounced, but Jessica is basically like the person that Bryce works for, and it's very confusing whether she's on the good side or the bad side, because on one hand she's keeping all of these like books that are like forbidden to keep because they talk about like the humans before the veneer came, because supposedly the veneer came and then society was born, but obviously it's way more likely that humans existed and then the veneer came and changed everything. On the other hand, it's clear she doesn't really care about Bryce, and she just cares about what Bryce can do for her, and also she does keep slaves like Leheba? I don't know how you pronounce it. I think I'm just gonna say Leba. She's the fire sprite that Bryce works with, and she's adorable. Like, she's amazing, and she watches like reality TV, and she like loves Hunt, and she's very proud about her family and where she came from, even though she was technically kicked, like the sprites were technically kicked out of their house because of the revolution. I just love her, and she is technically a slave to Jessica. Her job is to like keep watch on the books and make sure none of them like escape or like attack, because a lot of the books have like minds of their own and they're magic, and since Leheba is a fire sprite, obviously the books are going to be afraid of her. But Bryce goes and tries to save Hunt first by putting herself in debt to Jessica, like basically for the rest of her life, by saying like, I have this money, I will pay for him, like I'll buy him back from you. And then Sandriel says no, and so Bryce is like, fine, I'll give myself for him. And that's when it's officially revealed that Bryce is, well, at least to everyone else we knew, but to everyone else, Bryce is the daughter of the Autumn King, the King of the Fae, and so she'd be like really powerful. So Sandriel's considering it, and Bryce is literally like offering her life for Hunt. And then Rune, who is Bryce's brother, comes in and puts a stop to it. Speaking of Rune, I haven't really talked about him much. It's because I don't have like too many strong opinions on him right now. Like, a lot of people love him, but honestly, like, he's good. Like, he's a good guy, he's a good character, but I don't think he's been fleshed out super a lot. Like, we haven't really found out a lot of what he wants and his desires and his plans for the future, because he's being controlled by his father, the Autumn King, and his other part, like his other side of himself, is focused on protecting Bryce and like getting into her good graces, since they had like this big fight. So we don't really get to see a lot of like his wants, his choices, his decisions that aren't being influenced by his family. So the last 200 pages, man, like they make this book, like, yes, this book was amazing from the start, but like the last 200 pages really just solidify it as an amazing book. Throughout the book, it's been set up that Jessica's place has so many cameras that she can spy on people whenever she wants, and the archangels also have so many cameras that they can set up and like spy on everybody. So when Micah comes in to Jessica's place to talk with Bryce, you know, she sets the cameras and like texts Jessica and is like, help, please start the cameras. And it's such a terrifying moment because, I mean, we don't trust Micah, but we don't really get any hints that he's gonna kill her until Bryce starts like freaking out and we're like, oh no, something's gonna go down. And so it turns out like he's behind Danica's death. He is behind the synth. He's behind all these things. He injected Danica with synth and made her rip apart the pack and then herself. And like, because he wants the horn of Luna, which has been missing the whole book. They've been looking for the horn because it's somehow tied with Danica's death, and Danica was basically blackmailed by Micah to steal this horn. And so you know what Danica did? She ground it up into fine little powder and she got it tattooed onto Bryce's back. They got matching tattoos. Through love, all is possible. And that's been like a saying that like Danica loves. Like, it's been repeated throughout the book a lot, and so Bryce kind of assumed that's why Danica got it tattooed on her back, but she got it tattooed in this ancient language, except it wasn't a language, it was what was needed to activate the horn, like the spell to activate the horn. So Bryce is the living horn, and the horn can summon demons from other worlds. Like, it can open gates and summon other creatures from other worlds. So Micah wants to freaking get an army using this horn. So he tries to use it on her, injects her with synth, he tries to use it, but obviously goes wrong because Micah doesn't know how to use the horn. And that whole scene was, oh my god, so anxiety inducing. And then we get to one of the first like devastating, well, there's been so many devastating parts of the book, but like we get to Libra's death. Like, she's been presented throughout the book as like this bubbly like sprite, and she's like Bryce's close friend, and they like have so many cute good interactions. So getting to this scene, oh my god, Micah basically throws Syrinx, which is another used to be slave that Bryce freed, and he's basically like this little I forget what they said, like I don't remember what creature he said he is, but he's kind of like a dog, but like more intelligent and like magical. I don't know, I honestly can't remember the descriptions of Syrinx, but you know, he's like the little pet of the series, and he gets thrown into this big tank of water with a Nox in it, which is this horrible creature. And I was on the edge of my seat, let me tell you. Like, I wasn't sure, well, first time I read this, I wasn't sure whether he was gonna live or die, and this time, even though I knew he was gonna live, it was still like so anxiety inducing. And Bryce dives in to this tank and she fights the Nox and she gets Syrinx back, and they are bringing him back to life, and oh my god. And then at this point they have Micah trapped with this book, which is really cool how the books can be used as like weapons in this scene. They have him trapped with this book, and Micah's like slowly getting out because the book can't contain an archangel's power for long. So Leba is like, you need to go, you need to get out of here because Bryce is hurt. She's carrying Syrinx, who's hurt as well, and they're not going to make it out on their own. So Leba sacrifices herself. She uses the little power she have to break open the tank, and like that wave of water is what gives Bryce the extra couple seconds to kill Micah, and it's absolutely devastating. And Bryce, when she says goodbye to her, was even like, I freed you, like I bought you and now you're free, like I was gonna throw you a party. Like, she was free. She was free to do whatever she wanted, and she literally says, and let it be known my first act of freedom was to help my friend. And Bryce says, I love you, Leheba, and tears, like tears, oh my god. Leheba saying, my friends are with me and I'm not afraid, like over and over and over again. Like, she's so brave, so brave. Micah, he deserves to die. Like, if I didn't get him to die, like, I would have been so mad. Like, this dude, he killed Danica in the pack, almost killed Bryce, killed Leheba, tried to kill Syrinx, enslaved Hunt, killed these other people. Like, I hate him. Bryce, what does she do? Runs upstairs, gets the gun that is known as the God Slayer because it can kill archangels, shoots him in the head, gets Danica's sword, chops him up, burns him, and vacuums him off the floor like he is a bunch of crumbs. And it is absolutely iconic. Like, Bryce vacuuming an archangel up off the floor after she brutally killed him is amazing. I love her for it. I love her. And I do actually really want to know more about the books, because towards the end of the book it is like made clear that they're like really important, and they're going to be important in the next couple books. So I'm really curious. Okay, so the final battle, oh my god, Bryce wielding the sword, Danica's sword, and like guns, like literally in the print behind me you can see like with the sword and the gun, like that image of wielding a sword and a gun at the same time is pretty iconic, if I do say so myself. I love her. And when the Prime, like the wolf Prime, says that she's a true wolf, oh my god, the emotions were running high. And when Bryce sacrificed herself for Ethan and he like is pounding on the door behind her, I was crying. I was crying. But the part that really got me was her last phone call when she talked about, she was like, she called Hunt and didn't expect him to pick up, but he did. And she told him, like, tell my parents I love them, like, tell Juniper, like, thank you for the night on the roof. Like, I was gonna jump without you. And he didn't know that like she was suicidal, and just like watching that hit him, oh my god. And then the line that they say to each other, like, I was waiting for you, and she's like, I was waiting for you, and he's like, I'll be there, like, because he interprets it as like, I'm waiting for you to save me, and it's like, I'll be there, and she's like, no, I was waiting for you, like, in here. I can't with this book, oh my god. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. There are demons flooding the city, that they come from all the gates, because the horn that Micah used did work, just not how he wanted it to. He wanted to summon from a different world, but instead he summoned demons, and so they're attacking the city, and she is trying to save people, but the doors are closing, so she ends up like getting the demons to get back in the gates by using her Starborn powers. Okay, the drop. The best scene in the book. Sorry, it's the best scene, okay? Maybe not objectively the best scene, but like to me it's the best scene, because when Danica comes back, oh my god. So Danica comes back because earlier in the book, there's like this little thing by the gates where you can like put a drop of your power and you can like make a wish. And so Danica and Bryce do it, and they're like, I wish for blah 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 blah. It's like a joke, you know? But that little drop of power that Danica put in there allowed her to like manifest as like some sort of ghost or something, and like the last spark of her soul, basically. And she manifested because Hunt is like bleeding on the ground. Oh my god, that was so stressful when Hunt is like bleeding and dying, and the only way Bryce can save him is by making the drop so that all of her like starlight magic can like go across the city and like heal people. I don't know, it's kind of like the magic, I don't fully know how it works, but like so stressful. And then Danica comes along and she's like, light it up, And that line comes back, like, light it up. She repeats it over and over, like, light it up. And then Bryce joins in and is like, light it up, Danica. And she makes the drop alone. And how the drop works is if you are alone, you're dead, because you need an anchor to anchor you to the real world so you can make it back. And the drop is what they do to basically become like immortal. Like if you have power, and if you're Veneer, then you can live longer and be stronger by making this drop. And so Danica, like, helps Bryce make the drop, but like no one knows how she's gonna make it back, because it's literally impossible. And she literally makes it back because Danica gives up that little last portion of her soul that still exists and uses it to boost Bryce so that Bryce can run back up and be alive. And Bryce isn't making the drop, like her drop. She is dropping into all of the power that has ever been given into that little thing. The thing, I don't know what it's called, but like when you make the wish and you put your little drop of power, she's dropping into all of that power and she's getting all of that power. So it's like a long drop. Danica in this scene gives like probably my favorite line of the whole book. Bryce is basically thinking of staying there and with Danica, and she's like, it's been so hard without you, like I miss you. And Danica says, that's the point of it, Bryce, of life, to live, to love, knowing that it might all vanish tomorrow. And I just love that quote like so much. And then it convinces Bryce to go on and be able to move on and heal some of her grief and know that even though Danica's not there, she'll always be like with Bryce in memory. And such an emotional scene. Like I love that scene. I cry every time reading it. Bryce has power now, which is really exciting. I'm so excited to see what she does with it and how she helps with like the war that's most likely gonna take place in like the next book. So the ending scene, when she sent I'm home to Connor, lost it. Like that's heartbreaking, because Connor, on that night when they all died, he sent her, text me when you're home safe, and she never responded because obviously she came home and they all were dead. And then after 2 years she texts him, I'm home. Guys, I can't with this book. Then Bryce deletes all of the text threads from that night, everything, and it's like her process of finally letting go of the guilt and the grief that's been plaguing her for these 2 years. There are still obviously so many other things that I can say about this book, but this video is so long as it is, and I've just like gone through my main points. And if it's not clear how much I love this book by now, then I don't know what else I can say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Sorry if it's a little chaotic. I tried to organize my notes, but I kept kind of like explaining things and going back and forth because I missed a detail, and so I'm sorry about that. But I hope you guys enjoyed anyway, and leave me a comment down below if you love this book and what you like about it. I just want to chat more with you guys about it. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. Bye!